Good afternoon, students. We are back to English class, and I hope that yesterday, whatever we have done, you have practiced well. No doubt, again, I'm going to revise that, but in the meantime, I expect you to revise as much as you can and practice. Grammar is something that you cannot by heart. You have to practice, go on writing, and finding out where you are going wrong. Only then you can be perfect and expect to score all 60 out of 60 in section B and C. Section A is descriptive. However well you write, as per the marking scheme, we are not supposed to give your full marks. Yet students have scored 98%. This is only when you create a very good impression in the minds of the examiners that you can score all 98 marks out of 100. Otherwise, the cutoff mark for juniors is 95. Since the section A, the 40 marks, you can only score 35 as per the IPE board. Today, again, I shall do a poetry, The Beggar. By Dr. Actually, this was written in Telugu by the name Pichagadu. Pichagadu in Telugu, which means the beggar, and this has been translated by Dr. N. Surender into beggar. Beggar. Here, actually, what beggar means is a person who goes around asking for alms. But here, Dr. Amangi Venugopal has described the farmer as the beggar. The farmer who works very hard, looking after his crops from morning, from dawn to dusk. He works very hard, trying to fill the stomachs of all the people. But do you know the saddest thing is he goes hungry and there's no one who pities him. He works so hard, his back is bent because the whole time they are sowing, reaping and everything, working hard from morning till night. And that's why they end up with hunched backs, soiled hands, severed hands, bleeding feet, dusky eyes, because they are filled with sorrow. But they do not hesitate to see that other people benefit with their hard work. They try to see that every person in this universe is fed and clothed. But like I said, the farmer himself doesn't even get 2 square meals to eat. And that's the reason. And not only that, the weather condition, he has to see to everything. Just sowing good seeds is not enough. Even if the soil is fertile, you need the proper sunshine, water, everything relates to a good harvest. And at times there is a drought. There's no water to be given to the agriculture. There are times when the whole land is flooded and they lose their harvest. All this plays on the farmer's mind. They are always worried They don't know whether that this time they crop, whether it's going to be a good bumper or not. And that's the reason why you will find their eyes are dark and shadowed. So this whole poem revolves around the farmer whom Dr. Amangi Venugopal has called the beggar. Like I told you yesterday, you do not have to learn all the question and answers or annotations. The description of the farmer is enough for you to answer either the annotation or the question and answer. So please, children, don't waste time learning all the answers, all the annotations. The same thing can be applied for both of them. If it comes in the as a question and answer, all you have to do is to write it as a paragraph describing the farmer, who he calls a beggar. At times we are having a hot meal, tasty meal, and you find a person on your threshold in rags with severed hands, bleeding feet, and we don't realize that it is a farmer at our threshold. We don't pity him. We don't seem concerned. And that is why the poet has brought this to our notice, so that when the readers read, they appreciate the hard work of the farmers. All this can be written in one paragraph, any question that comes from this poem. Likewise, if it's an annotation, all you have to do is write it with subheadings. Like reference, it is from the lesson Beggar, written by Dr. Amangi Venugopal. Context or explanation, you just have to explain give the description of the farmer, relating how he works very hard, trying to see to the fulfillment of the universe, and without endless labor, where even when he has bleeding feet, severed hands, dusky eyes, yet he does not hesitate. And we, while eating 3 times meat, we make lot of fuss. We keep on cribbing. Why the same thing? When there are so many people outside who don't even have 2 square meals per day. And we, like people say, we don't appreciate all the 5 senses that we have, the able limbs we have, till we come across, see a person without it. A blind person hasn't seen the world. For him, everything is dark. Unless someone describes him, he can picturize, but he won't get a clear picture, having never seen what colors are. He lives in a dark world. Likewise, a person who had 2 eyes, till he got involved in an accident and loses both his sight. That person, if you tell him, he can visualize because he has seen colors in his life. So likewise, children, we don't know actually what misery is, never having faced it. So be very thankful that God has given us so many things. We try to look on the other green side. We feel the other side is green. We are jealous, we are envious of other people, but by looking at that and being envious, we are never thankful to God for what actually we have. So children, this is one lesson that has been taught by Dr. Amangi Venugopal when he describes the farmer and the sad plight related to him. Now, coming to the next poem, The Noble Nature. Written by Ben Jonson. Jonson doesn't have H. Ben Jonson, where he talks about the nature. Here he gives the contrast between an oak tree and the lily. What is an oak tree? You must have seen. It's a huge tree, lots of branches, lives for a long time, sturdy. But a lily, compared to the oak, it's hardly significant. It's a small plant. But what happens? This may be very insignificant. It may be very small, but it is full of fragrance. It is full of fragrance. Its life is very small. It lives for a very short time, but it attracts everyone with its fragrance. While the oak will live for a very long time, but dies up as a dry log. No one remembers the oak. No doubt, oak is very big and wide. People swing on its branches. They sleep under the tree, which gives us a lot of shade and everything. But no one appreciates the oak. But they appreciate the lily, even though it lives for a short time. So here, what Ben Jonson wants to say is, live like the lily. What does he mean, live like the lily? However short your life may be, do good deeds, great deeds that are remembered afterwards. People will remember you for your great deeds. There are many famous people in this world. They have lived, they have died. But even to this day, we remember them for some of the good aspects that they have done. No one becomes great all in a day. It takes a lot of effort and lot of failures. They come across a lot of obstacles, yet they do not give up. Like take for example, Einstein. You know who Albert Einstein was. He was a great scientific leader, good mathematician. But do you know, when he was in school, he had been expelled. Why? He was filled with curiosity. When teachers used to teach him something, they expected him to learn by heart, especially in history class. You have a lot of dates when the wars took place and everything. You have to learn the dates. He was not interested in learning it by heart. He said, what's the point? The dates are in the book. If you want to know, you just open the book, you get the dates. What he wanted to know was what was not written in the books. But as you know, teachers get very irritated when unexpected questions are asked. They, instead of uh, telling, he being curious, instead of telling him the answers, they would shout at him and send him out of the class. So most of the time in the class he spent was outside the class rather than inside the class. It was only the maths teacher who really appreciated him. And the best compliment that he got was from his maths teacher, who said, in a few years, it's not me who will teach you, but it's the other way around. You will be teaching me something new. So this is what is remembered, children. You know the great persons, whether it is Abraham Lincoln, whether it was Gandhi ji, all these people incurred lot of obstacles, lot of failures, but they never gave up. They believed in the word, it's possible, not it's impossible. Everything, unless you try, you cannot be perfect. And that's the reason why I've been asking you continuously that you have to practice and become perfect. There is a short anecdote that I would like to share with you. I don't know how many of you remember this, but the proverb try, and try again came from this incident. There was a king of Scotland who had lost his kingdom in the war. The enemies had conquered his kingdom. His name was Bruce, King Bruce. So he had lost his kingdom. And in those days, the punishment to the king was not worthy. So he ran away. As you know, Scotland is full of hills, highlands and lowlands you have in Scotland. So he ran away into the hills of the Scotland and hid himself in a cave so that his conqueror, the new conquerors, his enemies, would not find him. And there, while he was thinking about the loss of his kingdom, what he could do to get it back, he happened to see a small spider. He was lying down in the cave, and this spider was trying to climb up the wall and jump onto the. You have seen the spider's web, a fine, thinly drawn, but very sticky, so that any flies that go near it are entrapped in the net. So he was trying to jump from one corner of the wall to the other, trying to form a web. But unfortunately, he could not touch the other wall and he would fall down. He did not give up. He again climbed up, again jumped, but again he fell down. This went on for such a long time that even King Bruce, who was disappointed, disgusted, depressed, was watching the spider, trying to encourage him, wanting to see him being successful and everything. And finally, what happened? The spider was able to jump across to the other wall and started spinning its web. And this gave King Bruce an idea. He said, we should always try. We should not give up. And all his men who had gone into the hills and had hidden themselves, all of them, he gathered them, came back and fought against the enemies and succeeded in getting back his kingdom. So this is a very true, children. we should never give up so easily. By giving up, you're showing your negative potential. You should be always positive. Think in the right way. When someone scolds you, you get very angry. Instead, you should take it in the positive way, saying that I will show that particular person and work hard. You will find you will get a very good response. And basically, this is the way to lead you to success. So never show any negative aspect of your life. Try and be positive and work hard. So coming back to the poem, in this poem, Ben Jonson compares the oak tree with the lily. And he tells that lily, though it lives for a day, it's full of fragrance, and that's why people are attracted towards it. It lives a short life, but it's filled with happiness. And likewise, the oak tree. Oak tree is also a very useful tree. It gives lot of shade. It has huge branches where people can swing on it. But whatever is, though it lives for a long, long time, goes tall, stout, and everything, no one remembers or appreciates it. And likewise, man should also lead a worthy life, just like the lily. Instead of leading a dull life where no one remembers you after your death, it's not being worthy. God has given us life to do something useful. Remember, everyone has some innate ability in them. Bring it to the forefront. Fight for your ambition, your goal. And more than anything, you should not only work hard, but you should have the determination to reach the goal. That's when we can say you have led a worthy life, just like the short, insignificant plant, the lily. The next poem that I'm going to take up is Keep Going. This is by Edgar Guest. Just now, I had been telling you about King Bruce and the spider, where initially King Bruce, when he lost his kingdom, ran away to hide himself in the caves of the Scotland. But it was the spider that taught him never to give up. The same thing applies to man. Every person. There are times when we want to succeed, but we fail in between and we give up. We feel it's impossible. Like take, for example, a maths teacher gives you some problems to do it at home. Say 5 simple sums. You write you work out on the sums, you are able to do 4 sums. The 5th, you try and try, but you cannot do it. So what do? You give it up. This is, why do you give up? Because you're sure, if I go to the class next day and tell your teacher I could not do this sum, please help me, the teacher would help you. And that's the reason why you give up. But taking such stanza is not good. You have to learn to overcome any obstacle that comes in your way. Only then can you succeed. I'll give you a simple anecdote here about a farmer's daughter. A farmer had a very beautiful daughter, and both of them worked hard on their land. But one day, the farmer needed to buy seeds and he did not have any money. So what did he do? He went to a money lender and borrowed money to sow seeds. He promised the money lender that he would repay. But days went by, months went by, he couldn't repay. Now, this money lender was a cunning old man. He was not only good looking, he was quite aged, but he had his eyes on the farmer's daughter, who was very beautiful, young and beautiful. So one fine day, while they were working in their fields, he came and he said, "When are you going to pay the money?" The farmer was quiet. He couldn't answer. So he said, "Okay, you can do one thing. I will forfeit your debt. You get your daughter married to me." Now, both father and daughter were shocked to hear about it. They said the daughter did not want to marry, and neither did the farmer want his daughter married to the money lender. So they were about to refuse when the money lender said, "Okay, we will leave it in the hands of the providence. I have a bag." Usually the money lenders have bags, money bags. I have a bag here. The field was strewn with pebbles, different colors, black, white, and everything. So he says, "I'm going to put 2 pebbles into this bag, one black color and one white color. Now, if your daughter picks up the white pebble, she is free. And neither do you have to. I will forfeit you needn't pay me back my money. The debt is cleared. But if she picks up the black pebble, she has to marry me, but I'll waive her off your debt," he tells the farmer. And he bends down and picks up 2 pebbles and puts it in the bag. Now the farmer was flustered and he didn't notice anything. But the girl had very keen eyesight and she happened to notice that the man put 2 black pebbles into the bag. And also he said one thing: "If she refuses, I will send you to jail." Now, what was she going to do? If she refuses, her father goes to jail. If otherwise, she has to sacrifice, because she knew if she picked up, it would be black pebble and that she would have to marry him. And she was scared to tell that the man had cheated them, because even if she said, the father would go to the jail. Now, what was she going to do? She had to think out of mind. This is what we say. When you are in trouble, you clutch at straw. You try to escape. When a lion is coming, you just don't wait and say, "Come, lion, eat me." You try to think of ways and means to escape. Now, this girl was in a quandary. Either her father had to go to jail or she had to sacrifice herself. So she thought, and she came up with an idea. You wouldn't guess what a beautiful idea she had. She put her hand into the the money bag, and pulled out a pebble, but before it could come out, she dropped the pebble onto the ground. Now the field was covered with pebbles. So which pebble did she throw? You couldn't make. So she said, "Ouch, I'm very sorry. How clumsy of me. But don't worry. There's another pebble in the bag. And that tells me which pebble I had picked." And now the money lender couldn't say she had picked the black pebble. Since the other was black, it is assumed that she had picked the white pebble. So children, this is what that teaches us how to go about in life. There are many obstacles that we come across, but we cannot just give up. Like I said, in terms, when we are in danger, you try to find ways and possibles to escape from danger. Likewise, when you are in trouble, when you have obstacles, take a positive view, work hard, work with determination, patience, and you will find the work you have succeeded in your way. Maybe we cannot change the country, but whatever in our way we can do, we can definitely do and help the country. And one way is progressing. Take an optimistic view of everything, and instead of pulling a dull, blank, gloomy face, always keep smiling. If you go to any house in your neighborhood, your family and everything, you will find every family has problems. It's not the person who smiles doesn't mean they don't have problems. They hide their pain behind the smile, because smile encourages not only you, but the people around you. So children, remember this, move forward with good intention. And that's what the Edgar Guest tells you. Keep going. You come across innumerable obstacles. Don't give up. Who knows, the moment you give up, had you carried on for a short while, you would have succeeded. So he said, if you are tired, rest. But anything, don't give up. Go on pursuing whatever it is. Remember one thing, all great people came across obstacles and failures also, but they did not give up. And that's what this poem, Keep Going, by Edgar Guest tells you. Go on trying, and you will find you have succeeded. So with this, we come to the end of the 5 poems. Out of these 5 poems, children, you can give up any one. You don't have to learn all the 5. First one was Happiness by Carl Sandburg. The second was Red, Red Rose by John Keats. Robert Burns. The third is The Beggar. Like I told you, actually The Beggar is written in Telugu, Bichagadu, and had been translated by Dr. N. Surender. The Bichagadu was written by Dr. Amangi Venugopal. The fourth was The Noble Nature by Ben Jonson. Ben Jonson. And last is keep going. Edgar Guest. These are 5 poems that is in your syllabus. Johnson. I told them and I myself. We are used to writing ahead. Anyway, so these are 5 poems. I've explained the gist of it. Only in happiness, there are 2 themes. One is where the poet Carl Sandburg goes in search of the answer, what is happiness? And the second theme is where he finds the meaning of happiness when he sees the group of Hungarians. But the others all have one thing, Red, Red Rose by Robert Burns, where he loves his beloved and tries to describe her and tells that his love is immortal. It will never die. And The Beggar by Dr. Amangi Gopal, where he talks about the farmers. So farmers, they plight, how they suffer, but they never give up. They're trying to provide food for the universe. The Noble Nature, Ben Jonson talks about the oak tree, compares the oak tree with the lily. The oak tree is very big, huge, lives for many years, but no one remembers it. And it just, at the end of its life, is a dry log. While the lily, though it lives for a very short time, it is full of fragrance and people are attracted towards it. And the last, Keep Going by Edgar Guest, talks about never giving up anything. When you decide on any goal, if you're ambitious enough, he says, keep going. Be determined, show your will path and continue it. When you are tired, he says, rest for some time, but then go on. Don't give up. So out of the 5, learn any 4. When I say 4, it can be either in the form of annotation or in the form of question and answer. If the question comes in the form of question and answer, write it as a paragraph. If it comes in the form of a annotation, write the 3 subheadings and that's it. So in a poem, all you have to do is learn 4 answers thoroughly. But remember, children, English looks very easy, but the sentence formation should be there, no spelling errors, grammatical errors, and never forget the names of the poet and the lesson. This by itself, if you just write the name of the poet and the name of the poem, you can secure 2 marks without writing the explanation. Please, children, just because I said this is for the slow learners. Those who are writing, they're for betterment. But in the reference, you also mention a little bit of the poet and try to, don't make it very lengthy. Remember, it's not the quantity that counts, it's the quality of your answer. 4 marks, 1 page is sufficient. You have lots to write. The objective is there, but in descriptive itself, you have 10 answers to be written, and that takes lot of time lots of pages. Don't waste pages. Don't waste your time. Attempt them without fail, and you can be sure you can get very good marks, especially those who are weak in studies. If you by heart any 4 answers, that's more than enough for you to get through your exam. Is that clear, children? So we'll do a little bit of grammar today. Yesterday, I had explained to you about transformation of sentences. In this transformation of sentences, one thing stands out, that when you change from one to the other, the meaning should not change. Like I took up first active passive voice. Next, I had taken reported speech, otherwise known as direct, indirect, and I also had taken degrees of comparison. Now, the fourth in that context comes question tags. This is very, very easy, children. Question tags. But before that, I'll just, having written on the blackboard, I'll explain it in a nutshell. Active passive. When we are lucky, we are not getting only changing from active to passive and not from passive to active. In active passive voice, we have the subject, verb, and object. That is active voice. In passive voice, object comes in subject position, verb takes up be form, and subject becomes by agent. And this can be only done for a transitive sentence. You cannot change it from intransitive sentence. I've already explained to you intransitive sentences are sentences having no object. And also in this, when you have 2 objects, direct object and indirect object, usually indirect object is a pronoun, but then you can also have nouns. But I'm just telling you, when at that time you can frame 2 sentences with passive voice, one beginning with indirect object and one sentence beginning with a direct object. Now coming to direct indirect speech, direct speech is a person speaking, first person speaking to the second person. Reported speech or indirect speech is when the person goes and reports it to someone else. Remember this, when you are changing from active to passive, direct to indirect, or degrees of comparison where we have positive, comparative, and superlative, the meaning should not change. Likewise, in direct, indirect speech, when you have habitual actions or facts, scientific facts, Like the sun sets in the evening, or the sun rises in the east. These never change. So you cannot use it in the past tense. It is always remains in the present. The teacher said the sun rises in the east. The teacher said that the sun rises in the east. So these do not change. Now coming to degrees of comparison, I've explained to you as adjective as is used in positive degree. Usually, you can also say so dash as tall as thin as short as. In comparative, it is always followed by than. Adjective followed by than. And in superlative, it is always preceded by the adjective. Also in this, it takes up ER, and here it takes up EST. Like tall, taller, taller, tallest. Thin, thinner, thinnest. Short, shorter, shortest. So not only the adjective changes, but you have to see to the sentence formation. Like I said, it is comparative is always followed by than, taller than, sweeter than, beautiful than. This is a must. Likewise, the thinnest, the tallest, the shortest in superlative. Now coming to question tags, these are usually affirmative or negative sentences. Very good. It is raining. When the sentence is in the positive, the tag will be in negative, isn't it? Did you understand, children? It is raining, isn't it? Dogs are barking. Aren't they? So yesterday I had explained to you the B forms. I told you B forms play a very vital role in English. B forms is, am, are, was, were, plus do form, do, does, did, then have form, has, have. Okay, these play a very vital role in question tags. When the sentence is in positive, is raining, it is changes to isn't it. Are changes to aren't they, pronoun. Likewise, okay, 1 second. I'll come back to this. When the sentence is negative, the tag is in positive. Can't becomes can she. She can't write. Can she? He doesn't. Again, negative. Write in positive. He doesn't work, does he? Did you all understand, children? When the sentence is in positive, tag is in negative. When the sentence is in negative, tag is in positive. Now, there is no auxiliary verb. It's a negative sentence. So you have to write in for positive, but it does not show any auxiliary verb. At that time, you have to take the do form. Any appropriate do form. Do, does, did. This is when the state tag, you need to put the positive form. She never tells lies, does she? So when there is no auxiliary verb, you use the do form, whether it is positive or negative. The appropriate form is taken. Did you all understand so far, children? Okay, another. Your father drives. Again, there is no auxiliary there. So take up one of the do form. It is in positive, so it should be negative. Your father drives, doesn't he? So this is one of the easiest unit in grammar. Just remember, when the sentence is in positive, the tag is in negative. If the sentence is in negative, the tag is in positive. And when there is no auxiliary verb, you take one of the do form, where the appropriate, whether it is positive or the negative form of do. So this is what is about question tags, one of the easiest chapters in English. So here we shall end the session, children. I hope you have understood. We have completed poetry and we have completed parts of speech, articles, and question number 11, rewrite as directed. There are many parts of grammar which you all have to practice. Like I cannot teach you comprehension, correction of errors and everything. You have to do it on your own. I'll try to come up with a few exercises, but Basically, it is more of practice from your side, children. Have a good day. Allah Hafiz.